Good morning, world. Um, today, today topic, I'm gonna do something different. First, I want to pay some respect to some youths. But before I pay my respect, I want you to come to the classroom and take serious note. My name is Jaboni, the runaway slave, Rastafari International Ambassador, sojourn here in the UK. I have been the Rastafarian ambassador since 2001. I was commissioned by Mortimer Planner, the patriot that was sent with a team to Africa, and it is said that he was the one who invited Haile Selassie to come to Jamaica. I am a Rasta baby. I've been a Rasta all my life. The only two elders that I have never had discourse with is the gang. The gang is Percival Leonard Howell. I've never have discourse with that elder. The next elder that I have not have a discourse with is the Reverend Claudius Henry. So let's go to the drawing board now. I start this channel just over a month ago. And I start this channel by asking one simple question. Since I've started this channel, I have discovered that the world is all seeking clarification as to what Rasta was all about. The more I open my mouth, is the more I find that even though I say I'm not looking to followers, people start log on and following me because, for lacking a better word, they're saying I'm the first person that they ever hear talk with a bit of sense. Now, I don't see myself brighter than anybody else, and I must make some disclaimer. I am not here trying to teach anybody about Rasta, because I was not indoctrinated. So we don't have a doctrine to teach people. My understanding of Rastafari is a true born manifestation, inborn concept. That's how me coming a Rasta. Hear it? I came into this movement through the divine order, which is true born manifestation, inborn concept. Meaning that all the elders that I come upon, they were not scholars. All of them was coming from a place of inborn concept, true born manifestation. And how that work I reason, and when you reason with the elder them, you pick sense out of nonsense, and then you carry this faith how you know you can carry it. Now, hi Jaboni, I've told you how I'll carry this across the world. Me and my generation as a team. The question that I've been asking is, how did this movement get derailed? And no one can answer this question. So the question becomes a novel issue. Now, as a Rasta baby, and as a person that I've discoursed with all the elders them, with the exception of those two, there's so many things that I know about this movement. And I'm not here now to tell you all I know. I'm just going to speak about the things that actually have meaning still to me. And like I said, I'm asking one question. Good morning again, having my coffee. Now, in one of my broadcasts, I explained that I had a discussion with Sizzla Kalonji. And when I point out to Sizzla Kalonji that I left Jamaica in 1976, he said, Dada, that was the year that I was born. Okay. Yesterday, I had a lengthy conversation with an ex-youth, Star. And the conversation was to me, a touching conversation. So this program today, I'm going to leviticate this program to Star. This is program, I'm giving it to Star and Warwicker, and also Donovan, and for a brother to the world. And why I'm going to do this program today is something that Star said to me yesterday. Recently, I put up a note on my platform that I asked one question: who derailed the movement? And everybody wants to engage me into music competition, who can sing better than who, and all of these things. So now, I got pin on the down. I got pin on the down now. So when me done the broadcast, me don't want nobody come with no music in my ears and tell me about who can sing or who can sing, because now that me depend, I ask a simple question. Me start off first. Yesterday when I was reasoning with Star, like I said, I put up on the thing recently that no one remember Reverend Claudius Henry, who is the real icon. Reverend Claudius Henry is the real Rasta icon. No other man no put in more work or no more serious work than Reverend Claudius Henry. But when I tell Star about Claudius Henry, him tell me, say, Jabi, you know, say, at the third time now you are telling about the elder, yeah. But no care how me search, me can't find nothing upon the elder. That the youth tell me. The youth also tell me, say, Jabi, you could have been my father, you know. So now, I'm going to speak to all militants, because is I, Jabi, who is also the commander. I, Jabi, is the commander. Yeah? Just to show you something. I seen the news recently. I not divert, I just want to touch upon something. The clerk passed away, I think, 2 days ago. And I see all kind of pretty talk I come up to the media now, how good the clerk was and how fair him was. But I just want to know, say, the clerk never give away Azana. I was a part of the team that took Azana from the clerk. We took that. So now come tell we now. Yeah? I'm not talking to South Africa. Now come tell we about the clerk give us. He not give us nothing. We take South Africa from the clerk. If I lie, I tell you, come tell me say I lie. We take that. I was there on the ground. We take that. It never give to us. I was there the night when the clerk hand over South Africa, Azana, to Nelson Mandela. I was at the Carlton Hotel that night. I was playing for them that night. Yeah. So, for those, go back in on the archive and go look. I want to see who they play. When me stop the music and make the punk, give me South Africa. You me say? Because we done stick up the place and deal with the place already and put who for putting them place. South Africa wasn't given to us. We took that. Go back, go look upon the Hanover, a Pretoria. Go back, go look upon the footage and look upon the stage and say how much bad boy upon the stage. Every one of us strap. Every one of us strap. And we hand up our gun. Look upon the stage and you see Fidel Castro, Arafat, Saddam. Be a bad boy. All of them boys they dead off now. See? So Jabone is here now. I tell you now, say I was there. Anyway, I'm going to show you now what motivate me. Again, respect goes out to I'm a soldier, Ida Star, Warwick Isle. And when I'm done with this, I must do what I need to do with it now. Now, the virgin say, him can't find nothing upon Reverend Henry. So now, I'm going to read for honor for the first time. I'm going to read Henry history for honor so I can have it. Because true, nobody can find it. I may have it. I'm going to read it. Jamaica first treason felony trial featuring the Reverend Claudius Henry. That's what the headline said. It was a brief paragraph in the Star newspaper in 1960 that led to the diffusing of what many regard as a ticking time bomb. So let me stop right there, sir. I'm telling you already, say, when the fact-finding mission, I'm telling you two things. I'm telling you, say, in the 60s, before the fact-finding mission, Jamaica, Rasta was one Rasta. There was no outside of the Bingy house, there was nothing else exists. It was just Bingy. Every man I go a Bingy. So, my boy, I can't tell you, them time of what? Yeah, 54, them 60, now what? 6-year-old, somewhere around there. 4-year-old, 6-year-old, somewhere around there. So, I now go back down there, so I tell you where the history now was. But me a Rasta baby. Now, the point out to say, sorry, the point out to say, There was a reason for that fact-finding mission to send to Africa. But telling us that Rasta was on the voyage of taking Jamaica, 1960. Hence, them send the fact-finding mission 1961 because of Claudius Henry action. Tell me that already. Me telling us say we get independent because of what Claudius Henry did. So let's go in a Claudius Henry. It was a brief paragraph in the Star newspaper in 1960 that led to the diffusing of what many regard as a ticking time bomb. And when the dust cleared, the people of Jamaica were stalled to learn the following. 1. 4 British soldiers of the Royal Hampshire Regiment, then in camp at Up Park Camp, were ambushed and shot 2 fatally in bushes near an abandoned Rastafarian camp in the rugged and treacherous tyrant of Sligoville, St. Catherine. So St. Catherine, a bad place, long time. But you hear what happened? 4 British soldiers, 2 of them dead, was shot up by Rastafarian. We never use no drum. And we never chant no bingy. We beat some petrol upon them. Knock them over. Alright. 2. An unspecified amount of arms and ammunition, including submachine gun, was retrieved from alleged mercenaries who had been hiding in an area regarded as one of the most rugged and mountainous pathways in St. Catherine. 3. 4 men. Reverend Henry, son of Reverend Claudius Henry, reputed head of the African Reformed Church, Al Thompson, William Jeter, and Howard Rollins, all United States national and member of the U.S. Marine, were taken into custody by a military police unit from a house at Orange Grove, 2 miles out of Sligoville. Reverend Henry, now deceased, referred to as repertor of the breach and who led a Rastafarian sect, had been taken into custody with him, his reputed wife Edna, and 14 other members of the cult. You hear what we name them time there? Cult. Rastafarian cult. 4. The then West Indian Regiment, with supporting officers from the British Army, still resident in Jamaica and members of the Jamaica Constable Force, making a total of 400 military personnel and 100 police, were part of what was described at the time as an all-out counter-attack on the enemies of the state. Long-time Rasta is the enemy of the state. Along with others, they also took into custody Elridge Morgan, a Jamaican by birth, and another American national named David Abrister. These men were alleged to have entered the country with the intent to overthrow the government of the day. This was the first treason felony case recorded in Jamaica at the time. According to prosecutor, the enacting law came into effect in 1869, and there never was a treason felony case since then. The jury, therefore, were making history by sitting on the instant case. To facilitate this trial, the dock of the #1 Home Circuit Court had to be extended. So I just want you, Vibes Cartel, know, say your case a little minute case for wipe off of the book. No come talk about you create no history in this. Me I tell you about real history now. But before the sensational trial reached the Home Circuit Court, following the report in the newspaper, my news editor, the late L.K. Sutherland, assigned Miss Ebert to interview Reverend Claudius Henry at his Rosedale Avenue headquarters. It was an assignment she would never forget. Miss Ebert arrived there about 10:30 a.m. The driver deposited her in front of a large gate of steel with a small inner gate reserved as if he had been seeing a ghost, and took off in a cloud of dust. Miss Ebert was on her own. Putting on a bold front, she knocks on the gate with a small stone and heard the pulling of a bolt that echoed as the inner gate opened. A voice inquired of her mission. Miss Ebert replied that she was sent by the newspaper to interview Reverend Claudius Henry. The voice said, "Come in." She pushed her head in and straightened up to find herself staring into a barrel of 7 rifles. You hear Miss Ebert say when she got there, the man them greet her a 7 rifle. The man them greet her with. The men behind the guns were bearded and were dreadlocks. Heavy puff of smoke were inhaled into my confused face. The smell of ganja was unmistakable. "Forward," command one of the 7. I felt a gun sticking me in the smile of my back. I moved meticulously in the direction to which I was guided. I was too numb to even feel afraid. Sitting in a large chair as if he had been enthroned was the Reverend Claudius Henry. He was robed in a white and he held a staff or a rod in his right hand. He had 2 men standing beside, but slightly behind him. The one to his right was later identified as Calvert Claudius Beckford. Calvert Claude Beckford, a.k.a. Thunder, who, according to testimony given by a witness during the treason trial, felony trial, would roll no more. So Thunder no roll no more. That is like Vibes Cartel say, Lizard get mince up, fine. In the trial, them say Thunder no roll no more. It later emerged that among 3 bodies unearthed from an abandoned Rastafarian camp at Red Hills in St. Andrew following the capture of the fugitive was Thunder. The other 2 dead men were Gerald Scott and R. McDonald, but I will come back to that. For the next 10 hours, I was to undergo the most rigorous questioning covering my personal and professional life, the life of my colleagues at the newspaper, especially the writer of that paragraph in the Star. His home address, telephone number, where he dined and had drink, etc. All my answers were taken down in writing, of course. I know not where my colleagues live, dine and drink. After about 4 hours of grilling, it was Thunder who announced, "The woman is a spy. We have to get rid of her." My heart sank. I had been standing all that time. Now I looked down at my feet as if imploring them to run for my life. But where could I run? I asked myself. Viewing the black Jesus. Hear that? There was a statue of a black Jesus in a Claudius Henry HQ in a yard. Him have a black Jesus in there. So we gone a Jesus now. Suddenly, the Reverend Gentleman spoke. No, let me deal with this, he said. Those were the first kind word I had heard in almost 5 hours. Then he offered me a seat. I was weary, hungry, thirsty, but above all, fearful. Thunder was not at all pleased with how Reverend Henry was angling the matter. And he said as much. It was clear, however, who was in charge. The premises were full of chanting Rastafari and clad in black uniform. There was singing and dancing and smoking and the beating of drums. A lot of arms were visible in all of this. All through of an interview left my head. I tried to remain calm, but all I could think of was my safety and getting out of there alive. Sorry. I answered a few more questions posed by Reverend Henry as politely as I could. Then he asked me if I would like to be taken on a tour of his inner sanctum to see the black Jesus and his mother, Mary. I was happy to do so. Thunder again object, but to no avail. And so I was taken inside. I beheld the most exquisitely adorned altar in black gold, and on the top, looking down majestically, with a carving in wood of the black Jesus. On a pedestal nearby was similar carving of the Virgin Mary, black scented candle glowed dimly as we tiptoed to other room where I saw breathtaking pieces of sculpture reminiscent of Africa and African culture. I would have liked to ask the Reverend Gentleman a multiplicity of questions, but frigidly of the moment did not lend itself to such risk-taking. We returned to the porch. I was left sitting there for what seemed like an eternity. I could hear voices inside. It appeared to me as if my fate was being decided. What was troubling me, though, was that no one from the newspaper had bothered to check to see what had happened to me. Day turned to night. I was guarded all around. I just sat there and prayed for deliverance. Then finally, Reverend Henry, accompanied by Thunder, joined me on the porch. He asked me that he advised me that I was being released on condition that nothing I had seen or heard would be reported in the newspaper or reported to any of my colleagues or family members. Of course, I agree. I was also advised that I would be watched closely from henceforth. Well, the armed guards were instructed to open the inner gate and set me free. I was wearing 4-inch high stiletto, but once outside I never stopped running until I reached the Denham Town Police Station. One shoe he left me, and I never missed it till I reached the station. The police called my office, and a driver was sent to fetch me. The editor, the late Dr. Tudor Seeley, saw red when he heard the story. The news editor come pretty close to losing his job. A close celebrity. The Reverend Claudius Henry, his wife Edna, and 14 others were taken before the court, having been charged with 3 counts of treason, felony, during that long drawn-out trial that followed. Months after my adventure, Reverend Henry, from his position in the prisoner's dock, was to remind me on more than one occasion that he was who had spared my life that miserable Saturday. At a later trial, his son Ronald Henry and the others who were charged with several counts of murder were also tried, convicted, sentenced to death, and hung on the gallows at the St. Catherine District Prison. So these men actually lose them life for the cause of the Rastafari movement. The record and the singers of where we know I lead this movement, I don't hear nobody sing and talk about these brethren, these icons. The defendant, Justice Herbert Duffus, later Chief Justice, now deceased, and a jury sitting in the number 1 Home Circuit Court heard all about the plot which the prosecution alleged was hatched in order to overthrow the government of Jamaica. Marshalling the case for the prosecution was Crown Counsel Huntley Monroe, later QC and Director of Public Prosecution. An associate with him was Attorney L. Robertham, later presiding judge, both now deceased. The defendant, Reverend Henry, his wife, and 14 followers were represented by Peter Evans, an Irish barrister at law practicing in Jamaica at the time, arising out of the case. Evans was subsequently charged with perverting the course of justice, tried in the Home Circuit Court, and sentenced by the late Justice Weddington. You see how much thing I go on? It's a Rasta history me I telling about, you know. Me I telling about Rasta history. So we're moving along. The barrister got to prison too. His appeal was subsequently allowed, But by then, he had already served most of the sentence. This is the barrister, I'm going to prison too. On his release from prison, he left Jamaica and returned to his homeland. So the barrister come from Ireland, and after how them deal with Henry and the crew, and him too, because him got prison too. When him come from prison, him win him case, but him already serve him sentence, and him take for himself. The treason felony case was a cause celebrate. The era around the Supreme Court was cordoned off. Armed soldier and police personnel were everywhere. Visitors to the court, witness and all were thoroughly searched before enter could begin. It was a time of high security alert. The government was taking no chances. But that's why cartel for know and hear these things and I know say you need to tone yourself down and go on like you make no history. You make history for your friend them. I think I did tell Capleton one long time, say, when him start talk about him start fire, I tell him, say, no, Capleton, you no start nothing around here. Remember, I job only to tell you that, Capleton. Remember, I tell you, say, we no beat Jum, a shot we beat. Remember, I tell you, say, we throw old nigger in the fire. Me tell you that, you know, me tell you, say, my generation that we do. Because we are come after Henry order. You have to know. Me no hear no pick up Henry work, you know. Alright, moving along. The treason felony case was a arms here. But move again. At the end of the 19-day trial, with a very short trial computer cartel, the jury retired for 68 minutes and returned an anonymous verdict of guilty against the 57-year-old Reverend Henry, his wife, and 12 of his followers on all 3 counts of the indictment. Before passing the longest sentence on Henry himself, that of 10-year imprisonment at hard labor on each count, the sentence to run concurrently, Justice Duffus told him, it is clear and clear beyond any doubt that, that the persons charged attempt to influence the government of this country, properly constitute by highly unlawful means. It is also clear and clear beyond any doubt also in my mind that the chief instigator and promoter is you, Claudius Henry, a man who called himself an appointed prophet of God, a man who threw scorn on all other religion in Jamaica, who heard his counsel say, never scorn any man, religion. The judge described the sentence as moderate and merciful. The 14 accused, 27-year-old ice cream vendor Fitzroy Albert Brooks, was convicted on the first of the 3 counts only and sentenced to 3 years imprisonment at hard labor. The other received sentence ranging from 3 to 5 years. Edna Fisher, Henry reputed wife, received a sentence of 3 years imprisonment at hard labor, but died in prison before completing her sentence. So, all this daughter you now, Edna, she's an icon. Yeah, Edna, sister Edna is an icon. Because sister died in prison following this Rastafari trial. I'm going to hear you sing and talk about her. These things is when me ask the question I know how the movement done. Right. As far as Reverend Henry and his court, the 7-day manhunt by the military and police ended in their capture at Orange Grove in St. Catherine. The hunt was under the command of Lieutenant Colonel David Smith, Major Dustin Robinson, Commissioner of Police LPR Browning, Assistant Commissioner of Police A. Gordon Ladton, later Police Commissioner, all now deceased, so all of them dead. Reverend Henry and the other 3 American national had fallen asleep on the floor of the house of a rural shopkeeper who told police later that they had come to his place demanding food and drink, which he was forced to supply. He testified at the trial that he managed to leave after they fell asleep and he contacted the police. A watch was placed on the house. Informer again. Give them way. On the early morning of July 26, 1960, so now we have a date, a military and police unit descend on the house and ordered the 4 men to come out with your hands up. The court was told that Rollins steered, then reached for a submachine gun, which was lying beside him on the floor. He was shot and injured. Later, he was taken by ambulance to the Kingston Public Hospital. Further evidence revealed that as the soldier and police entered the room, Henry reached for a weapon and was struck down with the butt of a rifle by a soldier. He and the other 3 were taken to Central Police Station where they were detained. Good old Central Police Station, the famous place, but tell us that 1976. There's a show you say, we have heart and guts. 3 counts of murder were laid against Henry. Evelyn Morgan, Al Thompson, William Jester, and Howard Rollins in relation to the death of Thunder and the other 4 by the security force in a grave at the abandoned Rastafari camp in Red Hills. Also charged with these 3 murders were Titus Damian, Rupert Gabidan, Henry Rollins, Jester, Thomas, and Donald Harper, another U.S. Marine, who were all charged with the murder of the 2 Royal Hampshire soldiers, Brian Mitchell and David John Phillip. Do you understand what I'm reading? Do you understand that back then it was one black movement? Global. Do you understand that black American left American come to Jamaica as missionary come help I and I? These are the history now that is being suppressed. And man I talk about them like Yankee and all these things. Remember, black American also, when Mussolini run up in Ethiopia upon His Majesty, his black American did go up there to go knock it upon them and knock out Mussolini out of the place. So, what I'm trying to show you is we need to embrace my brother in the US and the rest of the world and go back to the blackness. Reverend Henry Donald Harper and Titus Damon were additionally charged with being in possession of firearm without a license. All these accused were charged with treason felony under Section 4, Chapter 390 of the Treason Felony Law, in that they were other person, they with other person unknown did on May the 11th, 1960, and drive day before and after within the island of Jamaica, maliciously, advisedly endeavor to excite or stir up person to commit act of insurrection by force. Murder victim made to dig their grave. David Core, later QC, that a cat core father, appeared for Donald Harper. Gladys Morrison for Jeter and Rollins. W.B. Wilkin, later presiding judge, appeared for Thomas. Basil Rowe for Damon. W.B. Ferguson for Ronalds Henry. And H.O.B. Fendenaz McCartney for Lawrence Richburg. All of these defense counsel are all deceased. You hear that? So everybody were involved in this revolution case are now deceased. Hence you hear nothing. The record is silent about these things. Yeah? Now, the Grippling trial was told by a witness who was present at the execution-style killing of the 3 Rastafarian cultists. The Reverend Henry, who had at the time taken over control of the cult from Beckford Thunder, ordered each of the deceased to dig their own grave. As each one dug his grave, he was ordered to jump in. Then he was shot through the head. And other Rastafarians, including the witness, were ordered to throw earth. After the 3 men were killed, he, the witness, was next in line to be executed. Suddenly, he said, Reverend Henry looked at him and told him he could go. He waited for an appointed time and escaped. That never sound right. If the man say for go, so you escape and the man tell you for go. That never sound right. He made a report to the police, I inform I know. This witness was put under the witness protection program and given safe passage out of the island at the conclusion of the case. The first 4 U.S. nationals captured by the security force, along with Elvidge Morgan, David Arbister et al., and charged with the murder of the 2 British Hampshire soldiers, were also tried. Rollins were tried separately, convicted, sentenced to death for the robbery and murder of the property of the popular club and bar as Champion House at the corner of Lindus Road and Maxfield Avenue, St. Andrew. We know Champion House, that are opposite with the theatre name Rick's Theatre and Maxfield Avenue there. We know Champion House. During the early treason felony hearing, the court heard evidence from several witnesses, including Charlton Nunes and Machine. He testified that he had first visited 78 Rosedale Avenue about 9 o'clock a.m. on December 5, 1959. He saw about 20 to 30 people. He saw about 200 to 300 people moving about in the yard. Among them, Reverend Claudius Henry. He took note of 2 men at the gate, an oven at the back of the yard, and a window from which food could be bought. Some of the people were dressed in black, blue uniform. Sometime later that morning, Henry called a meeting. He said he had an announcement to make. He spoke of a report in the Star newspaper. The report was about activists going on behind the gate of activities going on behind the gate of 78 Rosedale Avenue. So you see what a Babylon provoke the man them, you know. The man them there, I do them thing, and it's Babylon go provoke them and run up in a roadblock. The reader said they had been worrying about their activity at the church. Go and tell the commissioner of police that he is late, as the church was declared an army camp and no police was allowed from now on. You hear that? You hear that? So all what about run church and bingy gong and temple gong, Claudius and we never run no church. You Claudius in the same places. When them start inquire, Claudius and we tell them they had been worrying about their activity at church. Go and tell the commissioner of police that he is late, as the church was declared an army camp and no police allowed from now on. The other day me see police go up at Bengi camp and I beat jump. Me see police go up Bubba Hill. I don't know where I'm going with this police thing, you know. You must start look with teen and look who not let teen. I mean, I talk the police them. I talk about some secret undercover people with them monks, you know. This open door policy now work. Noon testified that Reverend Henry also spoke, telling the gathering that he had been preparing to hold a public meeting but had to cancel because of the report in the newspaper. Henry said further, Norman Manley government is preparing 14,000 white soldiers to fight us. Hear the man say? Norman Manley government is preparing 14,000 white soldiers to fight us, but that their blood would run as he had machine guns to fight them. Emphasis. Why did the Reverend place, why never they say 14,000 soldiers? Why never say that? Him say 14,000 white soldiers. Take what you want to take from that. Because I don't want them say me they are preach nothing. I don't got to tell you what the Reverend say. I tell you about the icon, what the icon say. Advising member of his church not to be afraid. The witness said Henry then spoke of his recent trip to the United States and added that they thought he had gone to see his wife, but little did they know that he had been to Russia and to see the King of Kings. See that? You hear where Henry said him when he fly out and them things say him gone look for him wife America. The man say him go to Russia, go make link, and then him go visit the Kings of Kings. So, me no want to go on now like the gang alone did have the vision. Marcus Garvey never have no vision for the king. See who they have the vision, yeah? See who make the first link with the king, yeah? Look who, Reverend Henry is who make the first link with the king. Some of them want to come water down the thing and talk about this and talk about that when they not talk about man like Claudius Henry and the work we put in. Henry also spoke of his boys from abroad, about whom he said the government was worrying themselves, but it was what the boys were carrying the government should worry about. You hear them kind of talk there? You know, you hear like Henry sound like my father. The government was also be concerned about the long boots the boys were wearing, but said Henry, the boots were to trample the dead. I don't know if you understand, because this is where the black heart man thing come from, you know. Henry start the black heart man thing, you know. But them try to spin it by Henry and go on like the black heart man thing was against black people when the man declare a blackness in my deal with. After announcing the uneven of what he called the black man flag, witness testified further that Henry told member of his church, go and tell the government we have slipped out of their hands. Cross-examined witness said he had gone there because he was anxious to go back to Africa. That's where the informer say him go join them because he don't want to go back to Africa. So at least the informer did have a good intent. The movement was responsible for attracting him to the church. Immigration officer and sergeant of police Frank Alfred Davis, later senior superintendent of police, now deceased, told of going to 78 Roslade Avenue, accompanied by 2 police officers on the morning of November 30, 1959. Them time I was a 3-year-old. No, them time I was 5. 54. Yeah, me a 5. There he saw Reverend Henry, his son Ronald, and U.S. citizen Mitchell Swarby. He told Ronald Henry and Swarby that he was sent by the acting chief immigration officer to tell them that they were to report at police headquarters the following day to be interviewed. Witness informed the court that 4 persons, including Reverend Henry and Swarby, had arrived in the island from the United States on November 28th. Claudius Henry objected to the request, while Ronald shrugged his shoulder and said he would like to meet the acting chief immigration officer. Then, according to the witness, Reverend Henry ordered him to leave his yard and tell the immigration officer to come himself. Bad man talk, you know. But shortly after, Reverend Henry invited noon inside his church, where he saw a photograph of the Black Christ, the Black Virgin Mary, and Haile Selassie, whom Reverend Henry acclaimed to be his God. He also showed him pictures of slaves whom he said had been beaten and killed in the United States. The witness related how the Reverend Henry got into a sudden rage and a high tone of voice said, "It is our time now, and if we do not get what we want, blood will flow. We will not stop until every black man is dead. They're bothering me too much. I am going to train an army strong as a lion, and any white man or black man who tries to stop me is going to be killed. We are going to free Africa and go home." It was the prosecution case that Henry and his followers and other persons unknown as on December 5th, 1959, in composed device and intent to excite insurrection against the government of this land. The defendant preached doctrine calculate to intimidate, overrage the government, and they sought to do this by overt act as set out. 1. That Claudius Henry and 15 of his followers, contrary to Section 3 of the Treason law, Felony law, Chapter 309, with other person unknown as aforesaid, did maliciously and advertently meet, propose, threat, consult, conspire, and agreed by themselves with force to advert, overhear, intimidate the government of Jamaica. 2. That the defendant and other person unknown, as aforesaid, did bring or cause to be brought to and have a 78 Roslade Avenue a quantity of explosive firearms, lethal weapons, with the intent to use the same in the accomplishment of their said objective, of subverting, overall, and intimidating the government of Jamaica. And 3, that they were with others, person, unknown, as aforesaid, did cause to be print, written, document, purporting to elicit the aid, advice of foreign country to overthrow the government of Jamaica. And 4, that the defendant and other person unknown, as aforesaid, in breach of the treason, felony law, section 4, chapter 390, did cause to be written, print, document, calculate, stir up, and cause an insurrection in Jamaica with the intention to subvert, arrive, and intimidate the government of Jamaica. How comes all of them history are just so silent? How comes all of them where sing and dance and I make money off of the thing? Never talk about and sing about this. Wait, how comes Burning Spear never did even touch upon this? How comes no. Today we are saying a Rasta. Everyone I want me to talk now, because that me ask you now. Come tell me how the movement move from this. For just to sing and clown yourself out and talk about your Rasta. The prosecution relied on numbers of documents exhibit in court as well as evidence from witness. Among the documents were one headed standing in the gap and another setting up what was called a council of righteous government. Also there was the letter written to the commissioner of police and a member of the government stating, I may be forced to invade the church. These prosecution referred to as a publication of overt act took note of the cult reference to Castro and furthermore Castro. The defense claimed that 78 Roslyn Avenue was a cathedral just like the Salvation Army and referred to the court to Psalms 149 verse 6, which read, let the high priest of God be in their mouth and a two-edged sword in their hand. To which the prosecution responded that the defense should have gone on to verse 7, which read as follows, let the double-edged sword bring vengeance upon them and bring death. See? So a threat for threat. The defense also claimed that some of the weapons found in their possession were used for fishing. The others were for worship and to be shipped to Africa when the time come. Each accused denied having any intention to overthrow the government of Jamaica. Claudius Henry did admit that 2 of the documents were inflammatory. Justice Duffus, before passing sentence, note, this is the first trial of its kind, as far as I know, or in the history of this land. He mentioned that from as far back as 1935, he had come in contact with the Rastafari movement. You hear that? This is the judge attack. Let me repeat it. Justice Duffus, before passing sentence, note, this is the first trial of its kind, as far as I know of in the history of this island. He mentioned that from as far back as 1935, he had come into contact with the Rastafarian movement through a man named Leonard Howell, whom he said had assumed exactly the same role as self-appointed prophet as Henry, who was assuming to take the people of the country back to Africa. Hey, on the hear me say a while? And the judge does talk. The judge said him know about Rasta from 1935 when Howell, just like Henry, I deal with the same thing. So that's why me today me ask the question, how Rasta move from where Howell and Henry did set to where I go on now? You know, come chat to me. Like me say, me know, it's the reason why I do this, you know. Me no want nobody come talk no music to me again. And no come tell me who are no icon from who are no icon. Can I tell you who are my icon? If you don't know nothing about Henry, you forgot to no homework. Can I tell you about Henry now? He continued, it is my view that this doctrine has been allowed to spread. It had been allowed to spread and take hold of the poor, illiterate people of Jamaica. It is wicked, a wicked doctrine, and the people that prey on the unfortunate illiterate person, like a number of you person here, person with poor education, I can have no sympathy for them, whatever. I no found no Rasta or Rasta. All yesterday Donovan point that out to me. Uno educated. I wanna have this kind of belief that anybody we not educated like uno. We illiterate and we are idiot. But the laugh is on you all. Because all the founding father of this movement, nobody never wasn't scholaristic. So I don't want no scholaristic people come going like I don't want to come. Give me no scholaristic argument. Because this movement is not a scholaristic driven movement. Take one yourself. Only 4 of the 15 persons Reverend Henry include respond when asked if they had anything to say why the sentence of the court should not be passed. So here where bad man tell the court now. Edna Fisher, 52, fish vendor, said she did not understand the court. She wished to prove her innocent. Justice Duffus, I am afraid it is too late for that. Leslie Stone, 19-year-old, sale clerk. God and Israel will remember your judgment. That's the way Leslie tell the judge. Wilfred Brown, 36, peanut vendor. Not before I get back to Africa. That him tell the judge. Say some more. Ark and peddler. Love and justice, him tell the judge. And that's how the trial done. So now I see why me is the way me is. Now I see what kind of Rasta man me is. Now I know where me study and the things that will move me and drive me. Now I see why me did behave from me a little boy till now. Why me was just a rebellious. I was not soul rebel. I was a rebel, not a soul one. Yeah? I was a naughty rebel. Yeah? Now, the problem and the question that me ask, me and my team, we go all over the place and we set things. Get captured, but do my time. While I do my time, I still fight the system. Was abandoned by the movement while we were down. Because when I get captured, the movement know when I get captured. Kuminar know when I get captured. Bongo Water know when I get captured. Miguel Lan know when I have my capturation. All of these man know. Yeah? Everybody in the movement were scholaristic. But because of how the thing set, the human rights of justice in Jamaica know when we get captured. And everybody know is the word. Make you watch what I'm going to do with Bunny. That Jamaica did. Watch. Because when me get captured, I'm show you what kind of bad boy me is. For me to know now. When we get captured, me and Duff Chronicle and Jabones, you know the first thing we do? We summon the Jamaican embassy. The Jamaican ambassador come look for the tree and I at Rockers Island. And we point out who we is to him. At the time, you know him tell me, come in and tell a lie on the thing, you know. The ambassador tell me, say, Bunny, boy, the only help I feel I can go on right now is put on in contact with the Abuna of the Ethiopian Orthodox. Yeah? And the Jamaica ambassador did put us in contact at the time because we were on foreign soil. And like me telling already, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church reject us 1968 when it come back a while and we run it. Right? And it reject us again 1981 America for the same reason. They are bound to tell us again. If me go dig up my archive, me can no. You see what me attack? I want some boy. Because me a boy up now. Some Rasta boy. I want to come tell me say lie me a tell. See the whole on the silent? Tell me why on the silent. Because you can't come tell me say lie because me have documents for rubbing on the face. That's why me talk how me talk. Me have documents for everything me I say. Because you know who me is and me know who uno is. When me get captured, me never get captured silently. When me get captured, the world knows that me get captured. One of the top vanguard youth. You know. And me never silent. And me never inform. Me never do nothing. What me do? Me call in the scholaristic people them. The old man couldn't come defend me because, one, him the pan ban order. The old man, Martin Planner, couldn't come defend me because he was on ban order from 1964. America banned him through Malcolm X and the link between I and Malcolm X. Kuminar was banned. Kuminar died under ban. His ban was never lifted. If you never know, me tell me that now. Yeah? So now, because Kuminar couldn't come deal with I, him send various people. Me now go name some people because the people them down there right now and the people them know me I talk the truth because, again, docket evidence of who come look for I. Some people in high places did come sit down and reason and interview why. Yeah, come in and send them and them come interview why. So it's not like me was in solitary and I was abandoned by the movement. I was abandoned by certain, what you call it, hierarchy. That, you know, in everything you have power struggle. So you have people who are pulled to the right and people are pulled to the left. And people are talk about we can't Bunny a bad boy, we can't follow Bunny, we can't make Bunny. Them time they, I mean the government I listen to, because the government love bad boy. You don't have to know these things. The government love. Every government like to talk to bad boy. So all what talk about, I try to separate the badness from the movement. I just go to the issue look while say, Clados Henry a real bad boy. Real bad boy. Clados Henry dead for this thing. Yeah. I'm not hear nobody a big up Claudius and him team. And them are the icon. Now boy with no mic can't come tell me I'm a icon. How phone is singing and whatever. How that put is what Henry did. Put Rasta on the map what Henry did. What Henry did is what caused the Jamaican government to send this fact-finding mission out. Because them realized say, Rasta was serious about taking this country. And from that time, them water it down and them water it down and them sprinkle look at that and sprinkle look at that and sprinkle look at that. Now, you want to tell me say Muta no know nothing about Claudius Henry? You want to tell me say Miguel Lowe no know nothing about Claudius Henry? You want to tell me say Jerry Small no know nothing about Claudius Henry? Alright. Them no know nothing about Claudius Henry. Now, all you young bloggers now, go do no homework on Claudius Henry and let's talk about the movement from the revolutionary perspective. Perfect love, please don't try to engage me. I don't want to be rude to anybody. I lay my foundation. I'm telling you where me the question where me ask. One question me ask. So, if you don't know the answer, go ask some question too. You have people. Don't look upon people now from a lax point of view. Because a lot of people would know when me attack, they don't have no lax. And they're down there. I know. Like me tell you, say, the truth say me look so. Me don't have no bald friend. All of my friend them today look like me. All of my friend them today look like me. But they are not bald. Because we know when we had locks a draw down as so. We know why we take off the covenant. But you see this movement here? You can't take off your hair and say you're done with it. And before I close out, the last conference coming out do, coming out telling you, this thing cannot be sold out. Nobody no want Rastafari buy. Know that. It cannot be sold. So I'm not sell nothing. I'm just telling you how it is. And I keep my thing tight and black. Because once them come join you, at the joining where I make you know. The more we let in people, the more them diffuse us. So again, perfect love. I'm going to do no homework. Pan want to just hear. And then come reason with me. If you not come at the classroom, I don't know certain things. Me want to show me say, when me I say, no go so. Then me can draw out more evidence. Because why I draw out this documents today is what I just started tell me yesterday. Again, respect I just started. You make me do this look a while. Because you tell me say, fire, no kill me a search. Me can't find nothing on Henry. So now me I go send it come give you now. I just start. Have a blessed day.